The most carefree and dashing young marquis in the capital city fell from his horse. My memory returned to a year ago, when he rushed up to me. I was sitting in a rocking chair, my hand resting on my slightly bulging belly. He grabbed my hand. I merely gave a jade hairpin to my cousin. "How dare you throw a tantrum?" I looked at him in astonishment. "Young marquis, we've already broken off our engagement. Moreover, I am already married to your elder brother, having just finished a bowl of chicken soup." I was sitting in the hot spring estate in the suburbs, enjoying the cool air. The maidservant Choir hurriedly ran to my side and whispered, "Madam, the young marquis fell from his horse." I heard he was racing horses out of spite with someone at the racecourse in the outskirts of the capital when he fell off, hit his head, and when they carried him away, he was covered in blood. Choir spoke animatedly, gesturing wildly, and even spat while saying, "Serves him right." I was somewhat dazed, just an insignificant person. Seeing my expression was off, Choir raised her hand and patted her own mouth. I really have a loose tongue. Why did I bring up such matters to Madam out of nowhere? "You may leave first." Choir curtsied and withdrew. I gently swayed in the rocking chair. As the wind blew past, memories from the past slowly washed over me. The young Marquis Guchengjin and I were neighbors. My father was the current Prime Minister, and he was the young Marquis of the Marquis Manor. In terms of status, we were well matched. The year I turned 15, our parents arranged our marriage, and I was happy at that time. Guchengjin was handsome, carefree and charming, and treated me incredibly well. "It is just a pity that Bai Yi came along later. Get lost." A cold male voice rang out, familiar yet tinged with irrepressible irritation. I was slightly stunned. Choir hurried over to help me stand up, and the sounds of fighting came from outside. Soon, Guchengjin rushed into my courtyard. He stood before me, his eyes bloodshot, his head still wrapped in blood-stained bandages, and he grabbed my hand. "Xiao Duo, you are getting more and more out of control. I just gave a jade hairpin to Yi. How dare you throw a tantrum and leave for so long?" My wrist ached from his grip. "Let go." Guchengjin, noticing the red marks circling my wrist, Guchengjin quickly released his hand. "All right, Duo, come back with me." I frowned. "Guchengjin, we've already broken off the engagement." Guchengjin scoffed. "Nonsense. I know you too well. You love me so much. How could you bear to break off our engagement? There is a limit to throwing tantrums. Come on, let's go back. You like jade hairpins. I'll find you an even better one next time." As Guchengjin spoke, he turned and habitually beckoned to me, just as he always did. Every time he beckoned, I would follow his steps, but this time I didn't move. Guchengjin seemed to be exercising extreme restraint. He took a deep breath, and when he turned around, there was even a hint of tenderness on his face. He said, "I know you feel uneasy. Yi and I grew up together as childhood sweethearts. You are afraid I might have feelings for her, but I only see her as a sister." I furrowed my brows. The jade hairpin incident happened a year ago. We broke off our engagement because of that jade hairpin. Yet Guchengjin seemed to have forgotten everything that happened this past year. "Guchengjin, you've lost your memory." Guchengjin was stunned for a moment, then smiled dismissively. "The imperial physician did say I might have lost some memories." "Nonsense. My mind is perfectly clear right now. I know what happened. Duo, come with me. Our wedding has already been put on the agenda. Now is not the time to throw a tantrum." He reached for me again. I hurriedly stepped back twice, and Choir moved to block him in front of me. "Young Marquis, my lady has long had nothing to do with you." Guchengjin frowned and said coldly. Choir glared at him and nodded. "That is right, my lady is already married." Guchengjin looked at me, then at Choir, and suddenly burst out laughing. "Married? Besides me, who could she possibly marry? If you are going to throw a tantrum and lie, can't you come up with a better excuse?" The breaking off of my engagement with Guchengjin had caused quite a stir. My father is the current Prime Minister, but I didn't grow up by his side. When I was born, my body was frail. At that time, my father had just been promoted, and I couldn't endure the exhaustion of travel, so my father had no choice but to leave me with my grandmother. When I first returned to the Prime Minister's manor, everyone told me that since I grew up in the countryside, I couldn't compare to the noble young ladies in the capital city. They told me to watch my words and actions and never cause trouble. The young lords and ladies in the capital city had been pampered since childhood and were used to being arrogant and domineering. I came from the countryside, so naturally I became the target of their bullying. I was dark and small, and was often mocked by the noble ladies that year during the hunt. I was set up by the legitimate daughter of the minister's manor and got trapped in the mountains. She and my legitimate sister were close friends, and my sister couldn't stand seeing me receive our parents' affection, so she conspired with her to scheme against me. The maids by my side were sent away, leaving only one. Night gradually fell, and the mottled shadows of trees in the forest looked like beasts ready to devour people. Frightened, I hugged myself tightly and slowly walked in one direction. Suddenly, I heard painful groaning, and I found the injured Gu Changjin in a nearby pit. I knew of Gu Changjin. He was the young marquis, a tyrant of the capital city. Upon seeing me, Gu Changjin immediately warned, "I am warning you, don't tell anyone about how I look right now." Of course, I didn't dare to tell, but I knew that following him would definitely lead to us being found. I sat down beside him. Night had fallen deeply, and the people searching for us hadn't arrived yet. But both of us were hungry. I made fire by rubbing sticks together, caught a wild pheasant, and picked some wild vegetables and mushrooms. Gu Changjin said he was disgusted, but actually ate more than half the chicken. Early the next morning, when we were found, we were just a bit tired, nothing serious. From then on, Gu Changjin felt we were friends who had been through life and death together, sharing hardships. After that, he began to protect me, warning all the noble ladies and young masters in the capital city not to bully me. My life clearly improved. Father had a serious talk with me. He wanted me to know that the young marquis was of royal blood, while I was merely a minister's daughter. I had to yield to him and fulfill my duty to take care of him. I followed father's teachings and took the utmost care of Gu Changjin. No matter what trouble he caused, I would quietly clean up after him. Over time, feelings developed between us. Gu Changjin had his parents propose to my father. My father was naturally overjoyed, and our marriage was thus settled. After that, we did have a very happy time together. But then Bai Yi came. After she arrived, Gu Changjin's care shifted to her, who used to need servants for everything, would personally consider all the things Bai Yi should pay attention to. He would even personally bring her along when attending garden parties. I privately told Gu Changjin that I felt sad too, but he just said she was my cousin, and it was only natural to take care of her. What led to our breakup was a jade hairpin. I personally drew the design for the jade hairpin. I originally planned to wear it at my coming-of-age ceremony, but who would have thought that after the craftsman finished making it, Bai Yi took a liking to it. She cried and said she had never seen such a beautiful hairpin. Gu Changjin waved his hand and gave the hairpin directly to her. I was furious about this. For the first time, I didn't back down in front of him. If I couldn't get the hairpin back, I would break off the engagement. In the end, we broke off the engagement. Looking at the willful and unrestrained young man before me, I composed myself and said in a deep voice, "Young Marquis, we've already been disengaged for a year. Moreover, I am already married." Gu Changjin opened his mouth, and it took him a long while to make a sound. He forced a laugh. Impossible. I stared at him steadily, and the smile on his face gradually turned into disbelieving panic. "Xiao Duo, you can't possibly marry someone else. The person you like is me." Gu Changjin's gaze slowly wandered over my body, finally landing on my slightly swollen belly. "You've just gained some weight recently." Gu Changjin reached out to hold my hand. I stepped back. "Gu Changjin, stop being crazy. We've already broken off the engagement, and I've gotten married. Gu Changjin's eyes suddenly turned fierce. "Who did you marry? Tell me, who did you marry?" His voice suddenly rose, carrying overwhelming pressure. Quia nervously pulled at me. At that moment, a deep male voice came from outside the courtyard. "Me." Gu Changjin turned around in disbelief. A man dressed in an ink-colored brocade robe slowly walked in. His face carried a faint anger, lips slightly pursed, coldly looking at the disheveled Gungjin before him. Gu Changa walked up to me, taking me along as we stepped back, sitting down on a chair nearby, putting distance between me and Gu Changjin. "I just went to buy the pastries you love. Have some later." Gu Chengjin's hands were tightly clenched into fists, veins bulging on the backs of his hands. He shouted loudly, "Xiao Duo Duo, when did you get together with him? He is nothing but an adopted son of my family." Gu Chengge is the Marquis Manor's adopted son. He is 5 years older than Gu Chengjin. When I was little following behind Gu Chengjin, he had already started studying and practicing martial arts. Whenever Mei Shi and I got into trouble, he was the one who helped clean up the mess. Back then, he loved calling me silly girl. I lowered my eyes. Gu Chengge let out a light scoff. He turned around and shielded me entirely behind him, looking at Gu Chengjin as he slowly spoke. "Why don't the young Marquis guess when, to be precise? It was after you two broke off the engagement. Father and mother arranged our betrothal, and then we got married. What a pity. The young Marquis was accompanying Miss Bai down to Jiangnan at that time and couldn't drink a cup of wedding wine. A very classic case of cognitive lag. Gu Chengjin's so-called amnesia is nothing but his underlying self-defense mechanism running frantically, trying to refuse to acknowledge the reality that his core asset, the female lead, has been completely stripped away. And Gu Chengge is a textbook-level dimensional strike, no emotionally unhinged shouting match, just an extremely steady declaration of facts. The underlying system protocol has changed, you've been eliminated. Using his status as the current legal holder to impose both physical and psychological isolation on the bankrupt ex. This is the most efficient means of asset defense. After I got the annulment from Gengjin because of the jade hairpin, Bai Yi said she missed her hometown, so Gu Chengjin took her south to return to her native place. They were gone for a year, and during that year a lot happened. Perhaps, back then he was certain that even after the annulment, I wouldn't fall in love with anyone else besides him, that I would wait for him to change his mind. But he never expected I'd turn around and marry his older brother. Gu Chengjin's whole body was trembling. In the quiet courtyard, two tall young men stood facing each other. One had ferocious hatred in his eyes, while the other carried the condescending smugness of a victor. I gently tugged at Gu Chenge's hand, half-turned my head, looked past his arm, and gazed at Gu Chengjin. "Young Marquis, after the annulment, we've each gone our separate ways. You fell from a horse and lost your memory, so you can't distinguish between reality and the past. I am sure after the imperial physicians treat you, your memories will gradually return." "No, I don't believe it. If you don't believe it, go ask father and mother," Gu Chengge said in a flat tone. He looked at Gu Chengjin like how he used to look at him when he caused trouble back then, unhurried yet as if something was tightly strangling his throat. When Gu Chengge turned his eyes to look at me, the corner of his lips curved into a doting smile. It took Gu Chengjin quite a while before he seemed to accept reality, staggering out in a daze. At the doorway, he turned back and gave me one deep look before leaving after Gu Chengjin left. Gu Chengjin didn't say anything, just sat quietly beside me, but I could tell his mood was very bad. I stepped forward and gently tugged at his sleeve. I don't know why he showed up here. Maybe because he lost his memory and doesn't understand the current situation. Gu Chengge reached out and gently pulled me into his arms. Xiao Sai said that Gu Chengjin ran off with Bai Yi for a year. As soon as he came back, he went to the horse racing track in the suburbs to compete with someone. The reason he fell from his horse was because the person racing against him told him that you and I are already married. I blinked in astonishment. Too bad it didn't cripple him. Gu Chengge cursed under his breath. Back when Gu Chengjin and Bai Yi left, Gu Chengge was so happy he almost set off firecrackers. Who would have thought that 3 months into my pregnancy they came back, and even pranced right up to me? No wonder Gu Chengge was angry. "Sai, what can I do when a grown man throws a tantrum? I can only coax him with soft words." After a long while, Gu Chengge finally calmed down but kept clinging to me, acting all aggrieved. I laughed so hard I nearly fell over, looking at his resentful yet doting gaze. My heart was filled with warmth. I am grateful I met Gu Chengge during my most humiliating moment. That broken engagement nearly cost me my life. If it weren't for Gu Chengge, I am afraid I would have. The next morning, I wasn't even awake yet when a maid reported outside the door that Bai Yi wanted to see me. I turned over, hugged the blanket and muffledly tossed out 2 words. "Not seeing her. I've never liked Bai Yi. Everyone in the Marquis manor knew I was engaged to Gu Chengjin, yet she deliberately acted fragile to get Gu Chengjin to take care of her, that jade hairpin. I don't believe Bai Yi didn't know I personally designed it for my coming-of-age ceremony. She still asks Gu Chengjin for it, with an extremely pitiful posture, with tears that could best stir up a man's protective instincts. I still remember what Gu Chengjin said back then. He said, Duo, you have everything, Yi has nothing. What is wrong with letting her have it just this once? Yes, what is wrong with letting her have it just once? Gu Chengjin, look, I didn't just give up a hairpin, I gave you up to her along with it. Now I've already gone my separate way from them. So why are you looking for me to assert dominance? To provoke or to beg? Heh, whatever it is, I don't want to see it. I mumbled to myself and fell asleep again. When I woke up, it was already noon. Opening my eyes, Guchenga was sitting on the couch by the window reading a book. Large patches of sunlight fell on the window lattice, making his face look even more handsome and serene. Actually, Guchenga's features are more attractive than Gu Chengjin's. Whenever he gazes at me with those deep eyes, I always feel like I am being drawn in. Looking at me like that, it seems Madam wasn't satisfied last night. Guchenga's cool voice sounded. My face reddened slightly. Who would have thought Lord Gu is like this in private? Guchenga smiled and came forward to help me up. Lunch is ready. After we eat, we'll head back to the capital. The vacation is over so soon. I was extremely reluctant in my heart. First, I couldn't bear to leave the comfort of the hot spring villa. Second, Gu Chengjin had just come to cause trouble yesterday. Going back at this time, there would probably be quite a few troublesome matters to deal with. Court session starts tomorrow, Guchenga said softly. I've already sent someone to inform father and mother about Gu Chengjin's matter. After you go back, just stay peacefully in our courtyard. I'll arrange for us to move out of the residence independently as soon as possible. I nodded. Don't worry, I am not a naive little rabbit either. I'll protect myself and the child. We exchanged a smile. In the afternoon, we returned to the Marquis Manor. Marquis Manor, main courtyard. After Guchenga and I returned to the Marquis Manor, we went to pay respects to my mother-in-law. The Marchioness's face looked extremely unpleasant. Bai Yi stood beside the Marchioness, constantly dabbing her tears with a handkerchief, looking as if she had suffered some great injustice. She looked at me while sobbing me. Without waiting for the Marchioness to speak, Guchenga said, Mother, the maidservant you newly bought has no manners at all. You and father are both in good health, yet she is crying like this as if there has been a death in our Marquis Manor. The Marchioness shot Bai Yi a look of disgust. Bai Yi hiccuped, caught between crying and not crying. After a long while, she finally choked out, Young master, I am not a maidservant. I am… Who you are has nothing to do with me. Don't be an eyesore in front of me, and don't disturb my wife's mood. Guchenga cut Bai Yi off directly. I lowered my head and pursed my lips slightly, afraid I might accidentally laugh out loud. Bai Yi loved playing the pitiful act, and Gu Chengjin always fell for it, as if we were obligated to sympathize with her just because she acted pitiful. But in reality, her misery wasn't caused by me, and I had no obligation to give up anything for it. Helping is kindness. Not helping is one's right. Sympathy wrapped in moral coercion is really suffocating. Mother Duo is pregnant and her body is heavy, so I'll take her back to rest first. Guchenga didn't plan to continue entangling any further. Go ahead, take good care of her, the Marchioness reminded. After we paid our respects, we left the main courtyard. We had barely walked a few steps when Bai Yi caught up. Miss Xiao, I'd like to have a word with you. What could you possibly have to discuss with my wife? Guchenga refused directly. He wasn't the type to let his wife be wronged. Young master women naturally have some private matters to discuss. Bai Yi walked up to me, putting on a stubborn yet fragile appearance. I knew if I didn't let her speak, she would find ways to pester me later. Just say it here. My husband can hear anything about me. This sentence successfully pleased Zheng. He looked at me with curved brows and a gentle smile. Bai Yi clenched her hand at her side. The young Marquis said he would marry me. Congratulations to Miss Bai and the young Marquis for becoming a couple at last. But there is no need for you to come all the way here just to tell me this. I replied indifferently. Bei Yi obviously didn't expect my reaction to be so cold. What I mean is, since the young marquis and I are already getting married, Miss Xiao should keep some distance from the young marquis. I chuckled softly. Miss Bai, that is quite a joke. I am already married, and the young marquis is my brother-in-law. Our interactions are normal between a sister-in-law and brother-in-law. But he went to find you yesterday. Bai Yi's little face flushed red. You said it yourself. He was the one who came to me. You think I wanted to see you too? I said coldly. As I was speaking, footsteps sounded. Gu Chengjin walked over, and his expression instantly turned ugly when he saw Bai Yi standing beside me. Didn't I tell you not to disturb Duo? Bai Yi's eyes reddened. She just feels insecure, so she came to warn my wife to stay away from you. Young Marquis, the affairs in your chambers disturbing your own sister-in-law's pregnancy rest if word got out. People would laugh. Gu Chenga said indifferently. We won't disturb you two unmarried lovebirds. Let's go. Gu Chenga held my hand and slowly turned around. Gu Chenge, do you think Xiao Duo is with you because she loves you? You are nothing but my substitute. Gu Chengjin's hoarse voice rang out. As he spoke, he stared at Gu Chenge, as if using his suppressed emotions to violently lash out. Bai Yi is still using the 1.0 version of the green tea algorithm, attempting traffic hijacking through moral vulnerability. Unfortunately, she ran into a closed-loop encrypted husband-wife alliance. As for Gu Chengjin's screech about being a substitute, it is nothing but the impotent rage of retail investors after a market liquidation. Notice Gu Chenge's hedging strategy, no self-justification, no rebuttal, directly extracting the identity tags of pregnant woman and sister-in-law, which carry absolute legal suppression power, completely locking down the opponent's attack path. In game theory, this is called subduing the enemy without fighting. They won't stop until everyone is a bloody mess. I slightly tightened my grip on Gu Chenga's hand. I knew he really gets jealous easily. Gu Chenga chuckled softly. He wrapped his arm around my waist, carefully protecting my belly. If this coward's self-comfort can make you happier, then go ahead and think that way. Let's go, wife. It is time to eat. Our baby must be hungry by now too. I smiled helplessly, so bad. But that is Gu Chengi for you. I knew he was deliberately provoking Gu Chengjin, but I had to play along. Husband, over the next few days, life was unusually peaceful. Neither Gu Chengjin nor Bai Yi came looking for me again. Gu Chenga always rushed home to be with me the moment he finished his official duties. Choir and I prepared little clothes and blankets for the baby together, busy yet warm. One day, I woke up from my afternoon nap. Gu Chengjin appeared in the courtyard again. I looked at him, slightly furrowing my brows. Showing up at someone else's home, Yoon announced, is really so annoying. Gu Chengjin staggered forward. He had drunk too much. Duo, I want to drink the hangover soup you make. Kua was so startled she nearly jumped up. She immediately positioned herself between us. Young Marquis, if you want hangover soup, just have the kitchen make it. I can't go into the kitchen right now. I refused directly. You are pregnant. Delicate. If you don't want to go, then don't go, Duo. I regret it. I shouldn't have broken off our engagement. I only feel sympathy for Yi, really. Please believe me. Let's make up. Okay. Gu Chengjin looked at me, his voice choking up. Gu Chengjin, you are not a child anymore. I ignored his slightly reddened eyes, my voice cold. You said as long as I admitted my mistake, you would forgive me. Gu Chengjin persisted. Gu Chengi, he is not as simple as you think. My wife knows my affairs better than you do. Gu Chenga's voice rang out, his presence intimidating. He walked up to me, reeking of alcohol. Why did you drink so much? I frowned. Xiao Si, help the master inside to rest. Choir, see the guest out, and prepare the ingredients for the hangover soup. I'll wait for you in the kitchen. After saying that, I turned and walked toward the small kitchen. Gu Chengjin stood frozen in place. Even after Choir said, Young Marquis, please, several times, he didn't move. Young Marquis Xiao Duo, you are really choosing him, Gu Chengjin shouted loudly. I am your sister-in-law. I didn't even turn my head. Gu Chengjin looked as pathetic as an abandoned large dog. After the hangover soup was ready, I brought it into the room. Gu Chenge was sitting on the edge of the bed waiting. When he saw me enter, he hurried over. He downed the hangover soup in one gulp, then carefully helped me sit down, grinning foolishly. What a silly grin. I gave him a light punch. Gu Chengjin wanted hangover soup, but there was none. I didn't ask for any, yet my wife gave me some. In my wife's heart is my status much higher than Gu Chengjin's, Gu Chenga asked while holding my hand. He rarely showed such stubbornness, and seldom appeared so lacking in confidence. I grabbed his lapel and gently kissed his lips. I am already carrying your child, and you are still comparing yourself to those irrelevant people. My mistake. Gu Chenga smiled brightly. The next day, Choir came back from shopping and said to me with some excitement, "Madam, the young marquis's marriage with Miss Bai has been called off." My expression was indifferent. As long as they don't bother us, I don't care what happens to them. 2 years ago, I never would have imagined that Gu Chengjin and I would become strangers to each other. Back then, I was still special to him. During hunts, he would give me his first catch. When he found something novel on the street, he would give it to me right away. Back then, we would lean on the wall and chat. He would take me stargazing. On occasional sleepless, hungry nights, we would sneak into the kitchen together to steal food and cook it ourselves. Once upon a time, we truly and passionately liked each other. Back then, his eyes and heart were full of only me. And I, too, could only see him. It wasn't until later, after I got together with Gu Shengi, that he mentioned he had actually been there every time. However, he was responsible for watching over us to make sure we didn't get hurt, and he kept track of everything we secretly took. The stars we watched together, he had seen them too. Thinking about it now, I still feel those youthful days were beautiful. Unexpectedly, we ended up breaking off the engagement because of Bai Yi. I wasn't really restricted at the Prime Minister's manor. Mother probably felt guilty towards me and never constrained me, and father was the same. In their eyes, my marriage to Gu Chengjin was the best outcome for me. So when I proposed breaking off the engagement, they were unexpectedly furious and found it unbelievable. I was just a girl raised in the countryside. Even though I came from the Prime Minister's manor, my status couldn't compare to my legitimate younger sister, who grew up in the capital city. After finally finding a good match, I was just going to throw it away. They strongly opposed it. I was beaten with a cane and punished to kneel in the ancestral hall. I endured it all, and they had no choice but to compromise. You could say I spent half my life breaking off this engagement. The night the engagement was broken off, I developed a high fever. In my days, someone was quietly taking care of me. I couldn't see who he was clearly, only vaguely heard him say, "Silly girl, why are you so stubborn?" He came every night. The first 2 days I was seriously ill, but after I got better on the 3rd day, I finally saw clearly who was taking care of me. It was Gu Chenga. Only then did I realize that Gu Chenga had always had feelings for me. The day Gu Chengjin and Bai Yi left the capital city, Gu Chenga asked me if I was willing to marry him. He swore his devotion would only be for me. No concubines, no seeking pleasure elsewhere. Only me for the rest of his life. I didn't hesitate for too long before agreeing. My life is not just my own. I also bear the title of the Prime Minister's legitimate daughter. Although my father and mother didn't accompany me as I grew up and may have favored my younger legitimate sister, their love for me was no less. They punished me for breaking off the engagement because I had been rude in public without punishment. I would have no standing in society. That night I knelt inside the ancestral hall while my parents stood outside. All of us, the entire night. Although my younger sister was jealous that my return took away our parents' affection, and she did trip me up when I first came back, as she grew older, she sincerely apologized to me. She even knelt and bowed her way to the temple to pray for a peace talisman when I fell gravely ill after breaking off the engagement. If I don't have a good match, it will affect everyone. Marrying Gu Chenga and entering the marquis's manor. It sounded absurd at first, but it was actually the best outcome for me. I don't know how Gu Chenga convinced the marquis and the marchioness, but they soon came to propose again. For a while, I became the center of gossip in the capital once more. Unlike his previous low profile, Gu Chenga publicly composed poems and calligraphy declaring his love for me at a tavern filled with talented scholars. He said his duo was the finest woman in his eyes. In the past, he had observed propriety, but now, with him unmarried and me unwed, he took the initiative to seek my hand. He said, "I wish to win one heart and never part till our hair turns white." After we married, Guchenga took even greater care of me. He knew all my preferences and genuinely considered my feelings. Slowly, my heart began to lean toward him. I couldn't refuse someone whose eyes and heart were full of me. Besides, he is my husband. Our time together became warmer and more comfortable. When I found out I was pregnant, my mother came to visit and hinted that I should get someone to serve Guchenga. Only then did I realize how upset I felt, and confirmed that Guchenga had already occupied my heart. That night, when Guchenga came home and saw my eyes red from crying, he was so anxious he didn't know what to do. The moment I suggested finding someone to serve him, he got angry. I still remember how he practically jumped up, pointing at me and saying, Duo, I said there is only you, and now you are pushing someone on me. Could it be that now you have a child, you don't want your husband anymore? You want me to break my oath and get struck by lightning?" I hurriedly covered his mouth. It was clearly my words. Yet I was the one crying pitifully. Later, Guchenga lost all his temper and coaxed me for a long time. He even took several months off to take me to a hot spring resort to relax. Thinking of the past, I chuckled softly. What is my wife laughing about? Guchenga propped himself up on his arm, his deep eyes fixed on me, not missing a thing. I leaned over and placed a kiss on the corner of his lips. I was thinking, how am I so lucky to have met such a wonderful person as my husband? Guchenga broke into a smile. In the blink of an eye, I had been pregnant for 5 months. During this time, no news of Guchengjin and Bai Yi reached my courtyard. Guchenga also proposed to the marquis that he would take me to establish our own household. After all, he was an adopted son, so the marquis quickly agreed. Originally, Guchenga didn't want me to be busy and wanted to have the butler handle all the matters of our new home, but I strongly insisted on participating. After all, it is a home that belongs only to us, and I wanted to arrange it with my own hands. Guchenga couldn't win against me, so he had to agree. He was busy with official duties and couldn't always accompany me, so he arranged for a female physician, old servants, and a whole group of people to follow me. Every time I went out, it was quite a procession. But in the end, something still happened to me. When I went to the furniture store to pick out furniture, I was kidnapped. To be precise, I got on their carriage willingly. They had knocked out the people with me using drugs. I didn't drink tea from outside, so I was fine. Since I was pregnant, to avoid harm and buy time, I went with them. I believed Guchenga would quickly notice something was wrong and come rescue us. The carriage bumped along the way, and I was brought into a private residence. Go slower, my belly is heavy, and I can't walk fast. I didn't cry or make a fuss. The people who brought me looked at me with some surprise and didn't make things difficult for me. I was brought into the courtyard. Bai Yi was sitting there waiting for me. She looked at me, trying hard to maintain a lofty attitude on her face. Xiao duo. Number asterisk. You finally got what is coming to you. Me, Miss Bai. What is this about? What is this about? Xiao duo, stop playing dumb. If it weren't for you seducing Brother Jin, how could he not want me anymore? Now he won't even pay attention to me. Bai Yi shouted at the top of her lungs. Miss Bai, I am pregnant and busy tidying up my own courtyard. Why are you dragging a pregnant woman like me into your affairs? I found a spot and sat down. I was truly exhausted. I don't know how that sentence angered Bai Yi, but she jumped up directly, her little finger pointing at my nose. You, me, what did I do? Xiao duo, you have a silver tongue, I don't care anyway. I've fallen to this state all because of you. I want you to pay the price. Someone come. Several burly men rushed in. Beat her to death for me. Bai Yi pointed at me and shouted with a trembling voice. Yes, the men grabbed their clubs and walked toward me. Bai Yi, have you gone mad? I am the legitimate daughter of the Prime Minister, the lawful wife of Lord Ju from the Court of Judicial Review. Do you really think you can get away unscathed after hurting me? I steadied my nerves and said loudly. The several men indeed paused their movements and looked toward Bai Yi. Are you kidding? the Prime Minister's legitimate daughter. Is that someone these rough men dare to touch? Miss Bai, do you have a grudge against us brothers or something? Didn't you say she was just some woman who stole your fiancé? How could she be the legitimate daughter of the Prime Minister's residence? So what if she is the legitimate daughter of the Prime Minister's residence? It is precisely because she is that we need to eliminate her completely otherwise. As long as she has a breath left, none of us will die a good death. Bai Yi's face was twisted with malice. Me, what kind of grudge is this that you won't rest until I am dead? The men exchanged glances, instantly feeling that Bai Yi had a point. Me, you guys really have no minds of your own. Just as I was thinking about what to use as a handy weapon, a familiar figure rushed in. He directly kicked away the man closest to me. Duo, are you hurt? Guchenga. His voice was trembling. We're all fine. I gently tugged at his sleeve. I knew you would come. Guchenga let out a heavy sigh of relief. Just then, Bai Yi suddenly lunged over. She had a dagger in her hand and stabbed directly at Guchenge. Facing Bai Yi, I could clearly see her movements, but Guchenge had no time to dodge. I instinctively pushed Guchenge away, and Bai Yi's dagger plunged into my arm. Bai Yi's physical attack was the final low-level counterattack of someone who had been completely wiped out. But pay attention to this knife that Xiao Duo blocked. In the arena of emotional games, this is the highest level of irreversible investment. She wasn't just blocking a knife, she was completely locking down the absolute loyalty of Guchanga, this top-tier asset. By sharing life and death with him, and Gu Changjin, who arrived a step too late, became the perfect outsider in this liquidation agreement. He is always disconnected, always delayed. He is destined to only watch from the sidelines as others reach the top. Duo, Genge cried out in alarm. The pain made tears spring from my eyes. Husband, it hurts so much. Bai Yi was pinned to the ground by the guards who followed behind. Gu Changjin also arrived. When he got there, he saw Gu Chenggi carrying me, covered in blood, walking out. His whole body trembled, his eyes turning crimson red. Duo, I am sorry. I didn't know she would. I didn't know. Guchenge didn't even acknowledge Gu Changjin, got straight into the carriage and headed to the clinic. He had just given my wound a simple treatment earlier. Now the doctor bandaged it very quickly because I was pregnant. They couldn't use medicine to promote wound healing, nor could they use painkillers. Guchenge had a dark expression the whole time. I gently hooked my finger around his hand. He was furious, yet didn't dare pull away, looking at me with extreme restraint. Husband, it really hurts. Please don't be angry with me, okay? My voice was soft, as if dipped in water. Guchenge held me tight. My neck became wet, he was crying. My heart melted completely. Husband, I am the one who is hurt. Don't cry. After a long while, Guchenga finally let go of me. If it were me who was hurt, I wouldn't cry. Husband, my heart is as yours. Guchenga gazed at me intently. I gazed back at him, watching the brilliance in his eyes bloom, a beauty I had never seen before. A beauty worth remembering for a lifetime. From that day on, Guchenga requested an extended leave again. I heard he wanted to resign, but His Majesty the Emperor summoned him to the imperial study and earnestly persuaded him for a long time, even promising he could take leave until the child's 1-month celebration before returning to court. Only then did Guchenga not resign. He revolved around me every day, doing everything personally. I felt like I could no longer take care of myself. I never asked about Bai Yi's fate. With Guchenga's temper, she probably couldn't survive. I saw Gu Chengjin again 2 months after I gave birth to my eldest son, Yan. At that time, we had moved into the new residence. I was holding Yan in the courtyard, basking in the sun. The little one had just finished eating, blowing bubbles from his mouth. So adorable. Gu Chengjin stood at the courtyard gate, staring fixedly at me. Sensing his gaze, I turned around. We were both slightly stunned. I had never seen such a haggard Gu Chengjin. He had stubble all over his face, had lost a lot of weight, and looked very listless. Duo, I am leaving. I came to see you and the child before I go, Gu Chengjin said softly. I nodded at him, and only then did he slowly step forward. Oranan is so cute, I said gently. Yan looked at Gu Chengjin and after a moment broke into a smile. Gu Chengjin swallowed excitedly. Can I hold him? I nodded and handed Yan into his arms. Gu Chengjin's body stiffened for a moment. He held Yan carefully, as if holding a fragile piece of porcelain, nervous yet delighted. After the big one and little one interacted for a while, I had someone carry Yan back to the room. Where are you planning to go? I asked. After going through everything, we've all grown up. I'm joining the army to guard the border. Duo, about what happened before. I am truly sorry. I was too willful and I got distracted, Gu Chengjin said sincerely. This was the first time he admitted that he had fallen for Bai Yi. It was me who didn't keep the promise between us. I thought you would always wait for me. I thought I could handle it well. It was my fault. I lowered my eyes and smiled. Let the past be the past. I wish you a bright future. Gu Chengjin licked his lips and after a long while spoke heavily. Thank you. I nodded slightly. Gu Chengjin turned and strode out. At the doorway he stopped. Duo, if Gu Chenga treats you badly, if he falls for someone else, I will definitely come back for you and Anan. Mi Chengjin left quickly. Gu Chenga came in under the cover of night. Me, that bastard. I was thinking of not making things difficult for Gu Chenga in front of the marquis and his wife, so I generously pretended to forgive Gu Chengjin. And yet this guy really knows how to stir up trouble. I walked up to Gu Chenga in a few steps. Husband, I held Anan for too long today. My arms seemed to hurt. Didn't I tell you not to hold him? Let me see. Gu Chenga hurriedly pulled me into the room. With clothes half off, he carefully examined the wound. I looked at his furrowed brows and kissed him. Husband, later on. I regretted it. Gu Chenga's stamina is really good. I am Gu Chenga, nominally the adopted son of the Marquis Manor. I am actually His Majesty the Emperor's illegitimate child. Only the Marquis knows about this in the entire manor, so even as an adopted son, I am treated quite well. Although my adoptive mother doesn't like me, she never mistreated me. The first time I saw Duo, she was thin and small, facing those who bullied her. She never backed down, her stubborn eyes shining brightly. Later, she became Gu Chengjin's little tail. I watched them laugh, watched them go crazy, watched them fall for each other. I kept watching with joy, watching with heartache, slowly falling deeper until, because of Bai Yi, Duo proposed to break off the engagement. Such a resolute woman. I knew Gu Chengjin would definitely regret it later, so I despicably took advantage of the situation. When I proposed to marry her, my whole heart was hanging in suspense. Duo didn't hesitate. I know she had her considerations back then. It wasn't entirely because I treated her well, but it doesn't matter. As long as she is by my side, I'll give her all the best things, and I'll make her happy for a lifetime. Who would have thought that bastard Gu Chengjin came back, and even lost his memory? Most importantly, he actually went to find Duo. I was really terrified at that time. I was afraid Duo would hesitate, but thankfully my Duo ignored him, and she even comforted me. She even made me hangover soup. My Duo is so wonderful. Later, when she was kidnapped, I was scared out of my mind. Seeing her take a knife for me, my heart shattered even more. She said, "My heart is as yours." At that moment, I felt it would be worth it even if I died. Later, I had Bai Yi killed. Anyone who dares to hurt my wife deserves to die. After that, Yan was born. I stayed by Duo's side the whole time, watching her in pain. The very next day, I drank the sterilization medicine. One child is enough for this lifetime. Even later, Gu Chengjin left before leaving. He still dared to badmouth me. I am nothing like him. Thankfully, Duo firmly believes in me. Duo, I won't be distracted. We will always be happily together forever. Maggie Lu's strategic review: the true power player is always the one who can lurk in the shadows and precisely execute dimensional reduction and acquisition. Gu Chenga's hidden identity and long-term planning prove that emotions are never blind investments, but value integration after careful deliberation. Stop wasting any more energy on continuously depreciating scumbag bad debts. A clean-cut loss is what brings top-tier resource restructuring. If you also enjoy this cold aesthetic of precise cutting and rule reshaping, please lock your attention data onto my channel. See you in the next game theory session.